Here are some things that I think are cringy as a Gen Z photographer. You may wonder, who is this guy with this nonsensical collar on his neck and the gelled hair telling me what he thinks is cringy as a Gen Z photographer? Well, my name is Gabriel Perez Silva if you're new on this channel. I'm a New York City based fashion and celebrity photographer. Here's some of my work. And if you agree with any of the points I'm making in this video or you enjoy my content, watch more videos, hit the subscribe, and leave a comment below what you think. Starting off strong, and the old heads might not like this one. I think using the term TFP is a bit outdated. Therefore, it just sounds a little bit inexperienced when it's used, when I hear it. I even had to look this up really quick to make sure I knew exactly what it was. TFP usually stands for trade for prints. People don't really use that much anymore. I would more so lean towards using the word collab. I feel like collab, it gets more across as more professional, more current to date, and it kind of makes it known that it isn't like a paid on either side thing. I would just stick with collab. Number 2, street photographers slash paparazzi who can't take no and keep shooting photos of people when they don't want it. Paparazzi are probably the most hated types of photographers or photography, I guess for a good reason, but street photographers, don't get me wrong, street photography is wonderful, but some type of street photography isn't very far behind paparazzi. And I just think if somebody's making it vocal that they don't want you to take photos of them more and more, then I would just stop, you know, at least after the second one, dog. You know what I'm saying? But when you keep going and going, then it's like at that point, like you're doing too much. You know what I mean? Like they've already vocalized that they wouldn't like the photo taken. And even if it's somebody famous, even I would still listen and, you know, give them the space, you know? And for paparazzos who do that for a living, listen, man, I'm not a paparazzi, so I don't know, but like, I would just kind of feel weird. Like, I don't know if anybody's seen that movie where the paparazzi and the lady turns into a werewolf or whatever. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like the real deal paparazzis you see like in Hollywood and all that, stalking out where people are gonna be in their houses and all that, it's a little too crazy. Like, I feel that's like, you know, intrusive. Guys, I'm only wearing this stuff because I'm going to an event later and I haven't planned out my outfit yet. And if I'm wearing the jacket I'm thinking of wearing, then it's gonna be really puffy and I couldn't wear that just sitting in my house where I'd start sweating everywhere. I know some of the old heads are gonna spin it and be like, that's cringy to me. All right. all right. You gotta wear what you gotta wear, dog. The dress code is New York chic. The next point, and it kind of goes back to the first one about terminology, and that is boudoir photography. Am I saying that right? Boudoir. I don't think anybody ever knows how to say that right. And if you do, listen up. I think the term boudoir is a little bit, again, expired. It's a little bit strange. I also feel like, you know, a lot of times you see people saying, oh, I want to take boudoir photos, like a lingerie for my husband or partner or whatever. I don't know, man. I mean, even when it's a customer, it's like, bro, like, the term is just kind of weird to me. Maybe it's just me. I just feel like I just don't like the term. You know how some people don't like tomato or certain words. But I don't know, I don't like that word, and I can't really give you a replacement word here. Like, just maybe say, oh, I want to take some photos like this for, like, I don't know, like maybe a description of whatever it is, the idea, but I don't know, man. Another cringy one is when you go to somebody's page and it's all boudoir photos, you know? Or somebody's whole page, you know, it's claiming to be like, you know, artist, whatever, but their whole page is like naked girls or like girls in lingerie, and you know it's always like mega airbrushed images, like mega softened. They're always the maxed out amount of skin smoothing possible, you know, like that hyper max high frequency, you know, the most you can max it out at vibe before looking AI. Everything's style, everything's preference. Just yanking your leg here a little bit and giving you my, you know, my little list of things that I feel are a little strange sometimes. And also from experience and talking to clients and all that, also get a side eye look, you know, from clients when you're trying to get more work or picture work. Of course, if like, you know, what you shoot is stuff like that, you know, if you're shooting that type of stuff, man, I guess it's the case, you know, but I'm just saying, like, especially for fashion stuff, if that's what you're aiming to be, a fashion photographer, you know what I'm saying? That's not a, you know, it's not what we want to be posting, but, or pictures on train tracks, dude, or brick walls, like, you know, brick walls you can get away with, but it's 2023, about to be 2024 in like a month. So really, I'm just gonna say it's 2024. Like, you know, pictures on train tracks, even if you're starting out, like, I don't know, you know, like, you obviously when you start out, you try a lot of things, you try a lot of cliche poses, and I'm all for trying things, right? But maybe if you're at the train tracks, you know, mix it up a little bit. You know, I'm not saying put yourself in harm's way, but like, don't do the standard, you know, Pinterest 2012 standing on the train tracks type of vibe. Like, I don't know how you could look at that and be like, that's gas, you know? Like, I want to upload that. I really represent my portfolio. Like, you might be like, that's a nice photo because this camera is working. Like, if you just picked up a camera and it's your first time clicking an image, but I don't know how you could look at it and be like, that is gas. Like, I'm gonna get work from putting that in my portfolio. The classic standard in the tracks, you know, looking like you're lost, looking solemn. You don't have to go into hiding if you've posted one before, taking it. I'm not clowning you again. You know, maybe I want to hear some of your ones that you think down below. Maybe you're a different age group too. You're not Gen Z, but you want to tell me some of the things that are odd or cringy to you that other fellow photographers do. Next one. It doesn't matter who it is, bro. You hear crazy stories about people assisting. It's never cool. It's always cringy to treat your assistants like ass, you know what I'm saying? Especially in 2024, like, you know, of course your assistants gotta respect you, and there has to be boundaries and know the rules. They gotta know, you know, how to be an assistant and common sense, of course. But in no scenario, you know, should you be like yelling at somebody on set or, you know, doing outlandish things like that. Like, you know, at the worst case, if I have an issue with an assistant, you know, I'll usually try to address it in a discreet manner if possible. But again, you don't want to stop the set and like cause a whole commotion. If it's not a good moment, then I'll try to text them and be like, yo, listen, like, this isn't something that is cool. But in no case, I think, is it good for a photographer to be yelling and causing a scene. There's no need to throw a fit. And it's not gonna help you think more rationally and more calmly. So if there's an issue going on, take a deep breath, take a seat, you know, take 5 if needed and figure it out, but no need to start causing a scene. This is another one. Photographers who keep insisting on poses that models aren't comfortable with. Like, dude, you know, like, if a model isn't comfortable with it and voices it, the first time they say it, I'm gonna be like, all right, it's cool. There's so many other poses you can do or think of. Like, go on Pinterest, find some inspo. There's so many others that can look great, equally as great, if not more great. I promise you. You don't have to be dead set. That's what I talked about in other videos about being too rigid. Allow some flexibility, and if somebody's not cool with a pose, just don't do it. There's no need. You know, you don't want to make anybody uncomfortable, especially the talent. If they're not cool with it, you know, again, find some new inspo, maybe, you know, try to develop the idea a little bit in a way that it works for the both of you. But if it's really just not making it, if I can tell that they really don't want to do it, you know, even if they still want to do it, then just move on. Like, for example, and this is because, you know, I've had experience on both sides of the camera on different occasions. It's a bit uncomfortable for me to bend over in front of the camera, pause. And usually people think it's because of some, you know, oh, he thinks that's like a little bit, pushing the left field, you know what I'm saying, or macho or something. It's not the case, dog. I don't like to bend over because I get insecure about my back. You know, I've talked about scoliosis stuff. But so yeah, it's one thing that, for example, if I ever do a shoot, or if I had done shoots in the past, I would get nervous about that and be like, man, if they asked me to do a pose where I'm like touching my toes or something crazy like that. Cause you know, those are pretty common. Like you see a lot of those poses and the shots can look cool, but I'm like, dude, then I have to like, then I'll have to speak up and be like, dude, I don't want to bend over. And then they're going to be like, you know, oh, you know, is it like, why are you being difficult? Or like, you know, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, oh man, hopefully that pose doesn't come up. So I get it. And so like, and it would suck. They bring it up and I'm like, you know, I'd rather not do that pose. And then I don't want to have to go into sharing stuff I don't want to share or whatever. The point is, if somebody says they don't want to do it, you can tell they're uncomfortable, just try a different pose. You can even say before they say, be like, yo, listen, it's cool. We don't have to do it if you don't want to. Like, let's just try a different pose. So the best thing to do is just listen, be aware, and keep it cool and flexible. But now, speaking about posting images, and this is the first one I've said actually, it doesn't have to relate to like being a photographer. I mean, it doesn't have to, it isn't specifically about the photographer. Dude, when like you take photos, you've been working on them for so long, and you know, you send them to the model or whoever it is, and they just toss on like an old-fashioned Instagram filter and upload them. Like that doesn't happen much to me anymore because a lot of the stuff I do now is like contracts and bigger clients and, you know, just more organized. But I've been there when I first started, this stuff happened to me too. And that was like mad annoying, dude. Or like when people like, you know, upload, and especially when you do shoots for free and you would upload the photos and then they can't even tag you, son. Like, are you kidding me? Like, they're gonna devalue your work that much? Like, that's crazy. And coming in at my last one, and this one may ruffle some feathers. Maybe, maybe not. But, and I heard this one time when I was on set as an assistant, when I first moved to New York from a really big photographer. I heard him talking about this with other people. And it makes sense. It makes sense. I heard it and it still makes sense to me to this day. And I agree with what he said. He was saying, yo, it's annoying to me when people start posting published by Vogue or, you know, published in Vogue, whatever. And then they do this whole cross it off the checklist thing on Instagram and all this stuff. And they're like, Vogue this, Vogue that, or published in Vogue. And they actually just had a photo put on Photo Vogue. You know, the website, which is great, man. This is still a great accomplishment. I'm not dissing or denying that, but there's a difference between having a photo chosen and put on photovogue.com versus being published in Vogue or doing something for Vogue. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's still a dope accomplishment. It's still super cool, but it's not the same as being published in Vogue or published for Vogue. Like Photo Vogue is pretty much a site that, you know, they choose like a cool image every day or stuff like that, and people submit their profiles. I used this when I was like, and when I first was starting in like 2018, like barely, and it's cool. Like I said, it's really cool, it's really great. But Photo Vogue isn't Vogue. Like it is Vogue, it's part of the company of Vogue, but it isn't like you can say, you know, or put in your profile or do this whole thing where it's like published in Vogue. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's not to diss anybody. And I also don't recommend, like, when you go on somebody's profile or model or photographer or anything, and it says this whole line of like published in, or like published model, published photographer. It's like, bro, like that's a little bit, like that gives off, like you're trying to go for a more elevated, more professional vibe. But when he says that in there, it does the opposite. Like it's like, you know, they seem green, they seem new. Posting that. Maybe a better approach would be posting a link of an article you shot or an editorial you shot in the link, or adding that to your website. If you enjoyed this video, leave a subscribe, leave a like, and give me a comment. I want to hear what you guys think. Did I miss anything? Anything that annoys you? Do you agree with anything? Do you disagree? Don't start yelling at me now. I already told you from the beginning. I'm pulling your leg on some of these. You know, I'm just having some fun. Some of them I'm more serious with, but some of the information, take it or leave it as you may help you progress your career and get more of the clients you're looking to get. And maybe if it hits a hard spot or a soft spot, I guess they say, maybe that's when you should look at it the most and see why that is. And if there's something that is causing that, and maybe you can get even a more benefit from that advice. But anyways, thank you guys again for logging in. We're this close to getting monetized. I'm not kidding this time. or last time, or the past 2 videos. I'm serious. But so stroll the videos, even if you know, stroll them, boys. You know, like you don't have to even, you know, just go to bed and leave that thing running. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know why it's that like a Toronto accent. Just leave them things running. You don't even have to like watch. Just take a nap. You know, take a relaxation, but let them keep going. So like we can monetize and get the quality and the video subjects and all that a lot better. But again, see you guys in the next episode. If you want to check out my work on IG, check out the QR code. But have a nice weekend, you guys. See you next time.